Good morning, friends. Welcome back to that 1870s homestead. My name's Rachel, and I have to just start the video by saying I know I was just with you in the last video encouraging us all to get back on healthy eating track while I have a bag of cinnamon rolls sitting here. But we're going to do something special. So this is for everyone that might still have breads or cinnamon rolls or something sitting around that you feel like you can't let it go to waste. So we're going to make up some cinnamon roll French toast bake or bread pudding style things, and we're just going to use a lot of leftovers from Christmas. So I'm just going to call this Christmas leftovers bread pudding. I am going up north with my girlfriends this weekend, so I'm going to take one that we can bake tomorrow for breakfast, and then whatever I have extra, I'm going to bake and freeze. And then it'll be easy grab and go like desserts when people come over. So let's get to it. I don't know how much I've got, so what I'm going to do is chop my leftover cinnamon rolls and see from there what I need to do with the recipe. So if you guys have leftover Christmas leftover ideas, let's leave that in the comments below. Gosh, what all could there be leftovers? I don't know, cookies, pretzels, all kinds of things. So I'm just chopping these in like little cubes, like that could even be cut probably smaller. 1-inch cubes you're going for, really. So a standard bread pudding is typically, a lot of times you'll see like a loaf of French bread or brioche or something like that chopped. And that's typically 6 to 8 cups of bread. So I'm going to measure this out, and I'm getting close to that 6-cup mark already. And I still have 4 cinnamon rolls to chop. Okay, so I ended up with right at, if not a little over 10 cups of chopped cinnamon roll bites. So I'm doing basically 1.5 times a standard recipe, if a standard recipe was 6 cups. So I'm going in with 6 eggs, 6 large eggs, and we're going to beat those. I have eggnog. I pulled out some half and half in case I don't have enough eggnog left over. You can use any type of milk for a bread pudding. I often use evaporated milk. You could do buttermilk if you have buttermilk left over. I think a thicker milk makes a heartier bread pudding. And then I think I am going to add some raisins to it just because we like raisins in our bread pudding, but you could also add pecans like I thought of. I got some candied pecans for Christmas, but I really like them. You guys want to see the best stocking stuffer? I got a little tiny whisk. I got a tiny whisk and a stocking a couple years ago, but it broke. I used it all the time. And this is like, I don't know how it's made. It doesn't look like it could break. So hopefully not. Okay, now a standard recipe calls for 2 cups of milk. So I'm going to go in with 3 cups. And I'm at 1.5, so I need to go to 3.5. So we'll top that off with a little bit of half and half. Give that a mix. Now here you can jazz it up too. I'm just going in with vanilla. If you have rum extract laying around from the holiday baking, you could add that. I'm going to go in with a good 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I could use a maple extract if you had to buy that for some recipes, whatever your heart desires. Okay, we need to melt a 1/2 cup of butter. Now some bread puddings call for butter, some don't. I like butter in mine. And you could go anywhere from a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup, or in this instance I could go up to 3/4 cup. I'm just going to use a 1/2 cup because this is my last stick of butter from buying all the butter from the holidays. So we're going to melt that. butter's pretty well melted, so I'm just going to slowly pour it into my egg and milk. So you don't scramble those eggs with your melted butter. Alrighty. Now I'm getting to where I need a bigger bowl. Alrighty. Let's pour all that in. Now I need 3/4 cup of sugar. I'm choosing to use brown sugar if I have enough. If I don't have enough, you could go in with some maple syrup. And I actually have a couple things of maple syrup opened. So I think I'll use that. Or you could just use white sugar. Come on. All right. What else do we need? Some salt, some cinnamon, nutmeg. Those are the things I'm choosing to add. I think you definitely want to do a pinch of salt in yours. You could use pumpkin pie spice if you had that laying around. Apple pie spice. I'm going, oh no, I'm losing my whisk. And some of our nutmeg. Which will go great with that eggnog. And we're just going to give that all a good mixing. And then we're going to gently toss in our bread crumbs and our raisins. Let's toss in some raisins. I'm probably just going to do like, I don't know, a cup. And then just gently toss your bread around, and we're going to let this sit to let that bread absorb all this good juice. You could, if you were just making a single batch, you could put it in your fridge at this time in the casserole itself and cook it in the morning. I think bread pudding is best soaked overnight. But you can cook it after a couple hours. I would just let it soak really good because you want that bread to absorb all that good juice. So I'll be back with you guys in a couple hours, and we're going to bake 3 of these, and one of them I am going to take. We'll see how much it makes. I'm thinking it's going to make, let me show you, 3 or 4 of my loaf pans is what I'm going to bake them in. A standard bread pudding you would do in like a 9x13 or an 8x8, depending on how thick you wanted it. And then it cooks for like an hour if you're doing it in the morning or in the evening, just so you know when you're planning to make this. Okay, I'm going to let it sit. I'm just going to cover this, and I'll be back when it's time to bake it. Can you hear all that sizzling and pop, pop? Soaking that good juice into those cinnamon rolls, and it already just smells divine. Okie doke. I think we are ready to get started baking these. And I went ahead and started preheating the oven to 350. So we'll see how many we get done. I'm going to just get up everything, go good. One last toss, just to make sure all that liquid is well and distributed. And we're going to butter our pans just a little bit. Just make sure everything releases easy, because the ones that I'm going to freeze, I'll pop out of the pan after they cool. And then I'm going to wrap them in parchment paper and either put them in a Ziploc baggie or foil. Okie doke. Now, to make this easier, I'm just going to be scooping it so I know about how much I'm getting per loaf pan. Okay, so there we go. Ta-da. I'm gonna pop these in the oven now and bake them for 40 minutes, and then we'll check them at that point. Okay, I'm just gonna check one now by just inserting a knife in the center and seeing if it comes out clean. I think it can go about 5 more minutes. Yeah, about 5 more minutes. But it's looking good. Yummy and smells delicious. Okay, I think it's done. Let's get in there and get these suckers out. One. I'm putting it by the microphone so you guys can hear it. Oh, come on now. That is some good looking stuff right there. So delicious. Oh my goodness, buttery, delicious yumminess. So one of these, like I mentioned, I forgot I wasn't going to bake one. I was going to bake it in the morning, but that's okay. One of them I'm taking up north with me for the weekend, and I wanted to share a fun way that this can be served, totally served like this. You can make all kinds of glazes and sauces for them. So you could make like a vanilla standard powdered sugar glaze that you pour over it. You can make like a brown buttered, like caramely rum sauce that you pour on it. What I think we're gonna do is, because it's gonna be for breakfast, is I'm gonna slice it just like a standard loaf of bread and grill it, just in some butter, and it'll be like grilled French toast. Todd's been sniffing. I said, are you sure you want me to freeze the other two, or do you want me to leave one not frozen so you can have it over the weekend? He's debating right now. So we'll see if both of the other two make it to the freezer. But I just wanted to share a really great way that you guys can use up some leftovers if you have them laying around in the house. And if you didn't have cinnamon rolls and you just had extra bread or French bread or a big loaf of Italian bread, you can totally do this. Just add some cinnamon and sugar inside of it and it would be divine. So I will see you guys on the next video, and Happy New Year.